Hey there, mathletes. Today we're going to graph quadratic equations. So before we start, a few things we need to know. So based on the equation, you're already going to have an idea of what it's going to look like before you graph it. Remember that a, the number multiplied by x squared, is going to make it thinner or wider. If a is greater than 1, it makes it skinny. If a is a fraction or a decimal less than 1, it makes it wider. Also, if a is negative, it's going to flip it upside down. You know that c is going to be the y-intercept, so you know where that's going to be. So parabolas, since they can be different widths, unlike lines where you only need 2 points, because all lines look like the same line, you need 5 points to graph them. So the first point must be the vertex. Otherwise, if you find 5 points that are all on one side of the vertex, you're not going to see the curve. So we're going to find the middle, find 2 points on either side. So the y-intercept may not be available depending on the size of the coordinate plane you're given. So if the y-intercept, if you can graph it, that's great. Sometimes it's not going to be available. And since parabolas are symmetrical, we don't actually need to find the y values of all 5 points. Once we find the vertex and 2 points on one side, we can just reflect them to the other side of the vertex because they're going to be the same. So here we have f of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 12. Remember that f of x just means y. So a is 1. b is negative 8. And c is 12. So that's our y-intercept. That's great, except this graph only goes up to 7. First thing we want to find is the axis of symmetry and then the vertex. So remember the axis of symmetry, also remember mathematicians are lazy, is x equals negative b divided by 2 times a. Since b is negative 8 and a is 1, that means we have negative 8 divided by 2 times 1. Negative 8 is positive 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So x equals 4. That's in the middle. Okay, now we need to find the y number. You just got to plug it in every place that you see x. So f of 4 is going to be x squared, so 4 squared, minus 8 times 4 plus 12. So 16 minus 32 plus 12. It's going to give us a negative 4. So 4, negative 4, we're right here. Now the other points we're going to find, if we're starting at 4, obviously we want 5 and 6, and 3 and 2. Now mathematicians are lazy, so we're not going to find all of these. I got to plug 2 more numbers into my equation. I'm not going to pick 5 and 6 because the numbers will be bigger. I'm going to pick 3 and 2 because they'll be smaller. So again, 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 12. So 4 minus 16 plus 12 just happens to be 0, which means this is also going to be 0. Because that axis of symmetry really is symmetrical. Now I'm going to plug in 3. So 3 squared minus 8 times 3 plus 12. So 9 minus 24 plus 12. So 9 and 12 is 21, minus 24 is negative 3. And if that's negative 3, it's also negative 3. So now we got 5 points and we only had to find 3 of them. So negative 4 and 4, negative 4. So 3, negative 3. It's also 5, negative 3. because remember, it's symmetrical. Then 2, 0, and also 6, 0. So when you draw the parabola, it doesn't go straight up from here. It curves. It's also not a V shape. It's a curve. So there's your parabola. So our vertex that's our vertex. So we're at 4, negative 4. And our roots, that's where y equals 0. So our roots, this is a set, are at 2 and 6. So we're going to take a look at a delta math example right now. So we have y equals x squared minus 10x plus 16. The problem is we need 5 points. We need both roots and the vertex. So if we graph this and we don't have our roots, then we got to fix it. Okay? So remember, first thing we got to do, what's A? That's 1. B is negative 10. And C is 16. So again, the y-intercept is 16. That doesn't help us because we can't find it. So the axis of symmetry is going to be negative 10 over 2 times 1. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. So we know that when we make our table, 5 is going to be in the middle. So 6, 7, 4, 3. Okay, we're looking at this. We know it's going to be right side up. It's not going to be very fat or skinny. And unfortunately, the y-intercept of 16 is no help. So we're going to plug in 5 to our equation. So 5 squared minus 10 times 5. Again, you should be doing this on a calculator. You should not be doing this by hand. So 25 minus 50 plus 16 is going to be negative 9. I'm going to use 4 and 3 because 6 and 7 are larger numbers and mathematicians are lazy. So I'm just going to do these in my head. Definitely use the calculator, either Desmos I recommend, or the just Google calculator is fine. So 4 squared is 16, minus 10 times 4, 16 minus 40, plus 16 gives us negative 8. Now that's negative 8, that's negative 8. So 3 squared is 9, minus 30, plus 16, that's negative 5, which means this is negative 5. Again, mathematicians are lazy. We want to be able to use any shortcut we can. So we're going to plot these. So 5, negative 9 is right there. 6, negative 8. Also 4, negative 8. And then 3, negative 5. And 7, negative 5. That's fabulous. We have our parabola. Only problem is we didn't give it the roots as well. So 2 of these points need to be on the roots. It's not a big deal since we already know that they're going to be at 2 and 8. You just move these other 2 points to 2 and 8. There we go.